All right. So, how to stand out in a male dominated industry, right? This is for women specifically. Although, if there are any men who are here, as I mentioned before, welcome on in. We're just going to push through. If there's questions, leave it in the chat and I'll answer it as I see them as we're going through here. So, here's what we're going to cover. First thing we're going to cover is don't become a firearms instructor until you hear these warning signs. There are some warning signs that I wish I got ahead of time, and I'm going to make sure to let you guys, you ladies, know so that you can be prepared. The next thing is why women should be part of your firearms instructor team. The next is common instructor problems that women can solve to stand out in a male-dominated industry. And then what you can do with your certification. With your instructor certification, there are a number of things that you can do, and we're going to talk about those as well. And then finally, we're going to talk about the actual instructor certification coming up December 8th through the 10th of 2023. It is going to be an all women's class, instructor candidate class, and it is going to be taught by female instructors and training counselors. So I'm going to give you an introduction on who I am, what qualifies me to be here. What is the goal of this webinar? And then what is the problem? What prompted this goal? And then what are some solutions that are going to help us as we are trying to navigate becoming certified, etc. So who am I? My name is Akithia Bost, and I'm the founder and owner of Black Armed and Level 1 Retention. And as you can see here, those are some of my logos there, Black Armed and Level 1 Retention. I'm also certified firearms instructor with NAGA, NRA with the RSO with the NRA, also an instructor with the NRA, basic pistol and shotgun. And then with USCCA, I am a training counselor and firearms instructor. I've been featured in Bloomberg for some of my work and me being a part of NAGA. And then this is just my feature that I had being a part of the Sharpshooter magazine for NAGA. And that is just some information. If you want to know more, you can ask me questions. But this is just a little bit about why I'm here, what qualifies me to be here. And I wanted to kind of just give that brief introduction overview of myself. Okay, awesome. Sorry, I just got distracted. I saw a question, a comment. So anyways, our goal. To show that there is a need for certified female instructors in the firearms industry. That's the overall goal here today with this webinar, is to show and prove that there is a definite need for us in this industry. And we're going to walk through some of those things. So the problem. Why are we focused on certifying female firearm instructors? So just plain and simple, we're underrepresented. We have an influx of female gun owners, but not an influx of representation. And then we have female firearm instructors. We fill an important niche and are not being utilized to our fullest potential in this industry. And then there are a number of female-led companies that outperform male-led companies. So why wouldn't female firearm instructors be able to do the same? Why wouldn't we be able to compete and show that there's a need for us in this industry as well? All right, so now we're going to talk about the solution. How do we solve this problem? There's a need. We've talked about the goal and the solution. Plain and simple, we need to certify more female firearms instructors. There's not enough of us in this industry, and we need to certify more. We need to add more women to our firearm instructor team. So that includes, if you are part of a team, let's say there's a male watching. If you are a firearms instructor and the majority of the individuals that you work with are all men, please add a female instructor to your team. You need a female instructor on your team. We bring a different dynamic and we are needed. I'm going to talk about some of those reasons and benefits of having us on your team. However, if you are a female instructor, definitely add another one. You don't need to be the only one on your team. Add another female instructor to your team. And that just means a close colleague that you work with more frequently. That's all that means. We need to be able to stick together and help one another in this industry. Because we are so little in numbers, it's really important that we're added to certain teams because we bring a certain level of value to that team. Next, fill the major gaps in the firearms industry that women naturally perform better at. There are just some things that we naturally perform better at, and it's undeniable. But there are gaps in this industry, and we need to be able to come in and fill those gaps. And then next, prepare female instructor candidates for a certification. I know when I came into this industry, there was not a preparation, so to speak. And we'll talk about understanding the industry as well a little bit later, but there wasn't a preparation. I thought I took a few classes, trained a little bit, I can show up and get certified, and it just wasn't as simple as that. So I want to be able to help prepare these candidates for this class coming up in December so that you can be, confident going into that certification. And then next, provide female instructors with the necessary tools to be competitive in a male-dominated industry. It is what it is. The firearms industry is male-dominated, and we want to be able to compete and be able to show and prove our value and need in this industry. So let's jump right in here. So don't become a firearms instructor until you hear this. So there's 5 warning signs that I'm going to go through. And as I mentioned before, some of these warning signs, I wish I knew ahead of time, and I think they will bring, an enormous amount of value to let you know if you are ready to actually become an instructor. The first thing is, don't become an instructor if you don't have any money. Do not quit your day job. Keep your day job. There is a need for you to utilize that money that you have from your day job to be able to pour and reinvest into your business. Do not quit. It is not as easy as it may seem. I'm going to quit today and tomorrow I'm going to become an instructor and I'm going to make all this money. It's just not realistic. Okay. So do not quit your day job. But if you work, like an entrepreneur on the side, building it up, it may take you 6 months. It might take you a year or more. However, if you're serious about it and that's something that you really want to do, that is something you're basically in the right place, essentially is what I'm saying. You're in the right place to be able to do so. Number 2, don't become an instructor if you don't have the mental toughness. Now, this is for us women, okay? Your mindset definitely matters coming into this, okay? And that's something that, as I mentioned before, a lot of this information, I wish it was something that was very readily, easily available to me. And that's why I want to be able to let you ladies know that your mindset matters because it is male dominated. And I'm going to show you how in a couple of images to show you just how dominated, it is with men in this industry. But you have to have the mental toughness to deal with not only the pain, the disappointment, and the rejection to build your business, but most instructors, they experience these things for a long period of time before they see any success, right? And we just have to have a little bit tougher skin being in this industry and understand the space that we're coming into and knowing that there is a place for us here. Number 3, you're not ready and do not become an instructor if you are looking for some type of financial freedom. This is not a get rich quick scheme. You're not going to wake up all of a sudden and students are flowing in your doors and the money is just rolling, right? It's going to take you some time, okay? And so if you think that you're just going to quit your job and all of a sudden you're going to become an instructor and all the dough is going to be rolling in, it's unrealistic. So as I mentioned, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a lifestyle. Okay. And it's not your 9 to 5. You need time, right? You need time to crack the code. It's going to take time to build up. But if you have a good team, if you're working with other female instructors so they can give you the ins and outs and how, the stumbling blocks that they had coming into this industry, then you will be okay. Number 4, don't become an instructor if you can't close. Okay. So let's talk about that one. This one is important because you need to be able to get students to your classes, right? So if you can't close, you can't get someone to sign up for a class. You want to get students, you need to learn how to close. If you want to make partnerships, you need to know how to close. If you want to work at a range, if you want to teach at a range, you need to know how to close. And closing just essentially means close a deal. No different as if you were closing on a home, closing on a contract. You need to be able to get people to come click on your link or just come and show up for your classes. If you don't have that skills, if that skill set to be able to do so, it's going to be a little more difficult for you. So don't think I'm certified now, I'm automatically set, I'm in this industry, I have my certification, I can teach. But if you're not able to close those individuals and get them to come to your classes and then repeat, come on repeat to you, then you're not ready to become an instructor. That means you need some other skills to be able to prepare yourself for that. All right. So the next thing is, don't become an instructor if you don't understand the firearms industry. This one is the most important one because it's the one that most people think, I'm certified and now I'm going to go ahead and teach. And this is like any other industry. I'm just going to post a class and I'm going to have people showing up and they're going to trust me because now I have this certification. It's not as simple as you may think, right? So the firearms industry, first understanding it's a couple of things. Number one is understanding that if you're coming in this industry as an individual who wants to be an instructor, you do not work for these companies. You are getting a certification. So therefore, you're not an employee. You take that certification and you go out under your own business name or your individual name. You post classes and then individuals will come through your entity, your business, and come and take a class with you. That certification allows you a couple of things. We're going to talk about that a little bit towards the end. But that certification does not mean that you're an employee of these companies. And it does not mean that anytime anybody interacts with you or they hear the name of your certification, that they're automatically working with someone at that company. You are certifying, you're getting certified with that degree. It's no different if you go into college and you get that degree and you walk away. You don't work for that university. You went there, you did the work, you got certified, you got your diploma, you graduated, and now you can take that degree. And then, of course, yes, the clout from these organizations to then go out and teach. So I just want to make that very clear because it's not as clear to some people when it comes to understanding this industry. So now we're going to talk about some of the different areas of the firearms industry that you need to be aware of. Number one, we have competitive shooting or sports. So know why you're coming into this industry. There's hunting, individuals who are getting into the firearms industry to go hunt. There are individuals who are getting in for self-defense. Most individuals, at least from my demographic, are coming in from the self-defense perspective, and then they may veer out and go into another area. But that's just what I've seen for most of the time. Next, you can be a security guard, security company, gun collectors, or sometimes you may see people like enthusiasts. They collect a lot of guns. They have safes. They have all types of, arsenal. They have an arsenal of guns and they're just collecting it. And so that's really important to understand that this is another area. All right. So the next area here is firearms instructors. That's where we come in. At least that's where my passion lies within this industry, is teaching. And then you have the FFLs, which are federal firearms license agencies, companies, and they sell firearms, ammo, apparel, etc. You also have gun apparel and accessories. So someone may be selling, for an example, just a holster. And then next you have gun clubs and gun ranges. So why women should be part of your firearms instructor team? Why is that important to have a woman on your team? So why should women be a part of your team? Because, well, women firearm instructors fill an important niche, as I mentioned, and we're basically underutilized in this industry. In general, women are the largest growing segment of new gun owners, and specifically Black women are, right? So when we talk about being, having representation or being underrepresented, we are the fastest growing of gun owners. We need to be the fastest growing of instructors as well. We are by nature just more empathetic to new shooters. So just by simply getting the basic pistol instructor certification, you're already starting out in the place where most people are being introduced into this industry, and that's a new shooter. So we're more empathetic overall, more patient to new shooters. We're better communicators. It is what it is, right? better at building community within our instructor teams. And we can naturally, most of us can diffuse that male ego, which a lot of that isn't seen necessarily all the time, mainly between men, but usually if there's a woman in the presence, our mere presence sometimes can actually diffuse some of that ego. And that's just really important. And this really is important as well, that studies show that women CEOs, business owners, CEOs slash business owners show that women have stronger business ethics. So what that's saying is, in general, there won't be any rubber stamping. And if it happens, it most likely wouldn't happen from a female instructor. It would most likely happen from a male instructor. And rubber stamping just means passing someone along, right? They don't necessarily pass the certification all the way. They came just this close and they'll get pushed along. Most times, 9 times out of 10, that would happen from a male than it would from a female. So we're basically holding that standard in general with that, ethics. And that's not saying that men don't do this. And I just want to make it clear, this isn't a battle of the sexes to say that, women are better than men. However, are female instructors better than male instructors? That's something to talk about. Something to think about. Female instructors versus male instructors. Does it make a difference? Are women better? So of the S&P, this has to do with investments, but it's just to show you an example of the S&P 500 companies where there are 459 male CEOs and only 41 female CEOs. Women-led companies have significantly outperformed males. It's proven, right? If you're led by a woman, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to leading in leadership positions, we typically outperform. And I think that says a lot about what we can do in this industry. The fact that we naturally outperform men when it comes to certain leadership positions, I think we can make our mark in this industry in a leadership capacity. Not just saying that we're gun owners and we're out here toting and safely correcting and we're doing sports shooting and we're competitive, but being in a position to actually lead and teach and pass that knowledge on to new shooters. I think that there's a place for us here, and I definitely want to see more of us here doing that. And as you can see here, this is just a picture, an image from the actual NAGA convention that we recently had. Most of the pictures that I took, and even when there were females in the pictures, it was like 1 or 2 of us, right? So when I saw different women coming up to me asking me and saying, I definitely want to become an instructor, I've been thinking about it, what do I do? Where do I start? I'm like, yes, please come in here. We need more women. We need more Black women in the firearms industry in a leadership, teaching capacity and role. So most of the pictures I took, I was the only female in there. However, there's some common instructor industry problems that women can solve to stand out in this industry, right? And so the very first one, as I've been alluding to it a little bit, but I'm going to dive a little bit deeper here on us being underrepresented. So just in general, instructors, male, female instructors, we are natural role models for our students. They come to us because they see something or they have a need and we're there to guide them along. So every student should be able to find an instructor that is like them, to relate to them. And it has been proven that people will train more if they can relate to their instructor. So if there's more of us, all of those individual women who are now buying guns, and I've met a lot who's gone to maybe 1 class or maybe 2 classes, and I'm like, you need to keep up with your training. If they see more of us in a leadership capacity, us teaching, us being out front, I think we'll see more of them coming in and actually wanting to take classes and not just have a firearm and just sitting on it with no training, or attended 1 class and think they're confident now and they have it all figured out. The second thing is, with women being, as I mentioned, the fastest growing demographic of gun owners in the firearms industry, women need more representation in an instructor role. Next, we are natural teachers of our families, our communities, and perhaps this is, from my perspective, in my opinion, this is what the firearms industry is missing, and that's a woman's touch, right? I believe that's something that we definitely can take the torch and run with it when it comes to this industry and being able to fill the gaps of, being able to basically use our natural skills, our natural abilities to be able to push it forward, or just those individuals who are anti-gun or, just anti seeing women in these roles. Those individuals, if they see us in that capacity and we're out front and we're teaching and we're training and we're showing safety and the benefits of having it, I think that we're going to be able to, and some other female instructors. And if you're on here, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate you. But definitely, I'm pretty sure some of the things I've mentioned, they share my same sentiments when it comes to this industry. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy for us, but definitely we're underrepresented. And it's time that we start adding those numbers up. We are more than capable, and it's time for us to show up and represent. Plain and simple. Again, this is another image from the convention, and you can see another colleague there to my right, I guess left of the picture. That's Marilyn. She's a phenomenal instructor as well. And so this, I don't know if this is the exact percentage. I don't know the ratio. I haven't done the math behind that to see the ratio of male to female instructors, but this is pretty much what I see. The majority of the time is one female and there's a bunch of men, and we need to show up and we need more representation in this industry, as I mentioned. And that's why I want to drive home. And I'm pretty sure most people have heard lately on the news, the media, or just in your regular conversations. Women, Black women specifically, are the fastest growing segment of gun purchases. When they purchase a firearm, how great would that be for them to find another female instructor that looks like them to say, hey, how did you get here, sis? What can I do? They may want to become an instructor, or they just may want someone to train with consistently. I want us to be out front so that we are the ones that are teaching and actually paving the way for them to continue their training, not going to their favorite tactical guy they see on social media, their favorite enthusiast who looks suited and booted, and they want to go to one of their classes and then they're all set. Or they're intimidated because of the way they look. And so they're like, oh, okay, that was great. I went to that class. I'm good. We need to make a difference and definitely show our presence more in this industry. So number 2, very important, unqualified instructors. So the very first thing you need to do is to become a certified firearms instructor. Do not think that you've been training with someone for years, or you shot at the range a few times and you shot really good one time, or you shot even a qualification, a course of fire, and you did really well. And so now that certifies you to be an instructor. Go get certified. The next one is teach from the certification that you actually earned. Okay. I've seen this time and time again, and this is something that I feel like we can stand out as women in this industry. Someone may have a basic pistol instructor certification, and now they're out there teaching AR fundamentals or defensive shooting. You may have some type of skills. You may have been training, like I said, forever with your boyfriends, with your dad since you were 5, okay? But do not think because you're certified in one discipline that now you can go and teach in another. Because there are nuances for each platform, and it just makes you look incompetent when you can know something only up to this point. You want to be able to teach from a certification that you actually earned. Next, your certification in one discipline does not authorize you or your ego to teach all things gun. I've seen different male instructors, and I'm saying this from the perspective of the male ego, right? They have been training for a long time. They're certified in basic pistol. You see them in images online with all their tactical gear, right? Like I said, they're suited and booted, but all they're certified in is one discipline. They are not authorized to teach you that information from whatever. I don't care what firearm they're holding in their hand. If they are not trained and they are not certified, they are not authorized to teach. The next one, really, really important, is reinvesting in your business. So we need to do this more, especially us as women, is reinvesting. Whether if you're ready to go ahead and push the button and certify, or you're going to wait and use the money from your day job to reinvest into your business, make sure you're reinvesting into your marketing. Okay? As I mentioned before, you need to be able to close the deal. If you don't have any way to market your business, if you don't have a way to have individuals see who you are, they don't know you're certified just because you went and got certified. Just because you posted a few pictures online, that does not mean that you have reinvested into your business. So reinvest into your marketing, reinvest in your inventory. And we're going to talk about some of these things during our certification in December. And so reinvesting your inventory includes IFACs, which is your individual first aid kits, your training guns, your tourniquets, et cetera, et cetera. Reinvest into the inventory so that you have enough training aids on hand. Let's say you have a class full of 20 people come up and you only have one cert firearm. That's not suitable. So as you teach classes or as you earn money outside of the industry, whenever you're ready to jump back in or as you're slowly building it, go ahead and reinvest in your inventory. Next, reinvest in your training, education, and your own instructor development. Don't get certified in December and think, I'm all set. I got my certification. I don't need to take any more classes. No, you need to constantly be trying to be better. As this industry is changing and growing, you need to be growing with it. So that means going back either to that training counselor or just finding other instructors to challenge yourself to be better. Because remember, we may not like it, but we're in a male, ego-driven industry, and we need to stay on top of our game when it comes to us being able to shoot proficiently, being able to know our knowledge at the drop of a dime, and being able to show and prove who we are. Next is reinvesting in insurance. So get the right level of insurance and renew it as needed, right? Don't get your insurance one year and let it lapse the next. We need to stay on top of our game. Next is failing to do dry fire drills. We're going to do some of these in that basic pistol class for the certification. But this is something that a lot of instructors, they either don't do or they don't do long enough in their class and wonder when they get out to the range, some of their students are having issues. So this is where you can see your students' mistakes and fix them before you get to the range. And right here's just a couple of examples of different type of training aids and training guns that you can use in your class. Anything from a Nerf gun, a blue, yellow, orange gun, or a CERT gun right there with the green dot there. Those are examples of training guns that you can use to do dry fire drills, running through all those safety and shooting fundamentals in the class. And as I mentioned before, firearms instructor insurance. Are you covered? Don't be out here as a female instructor in a male-dominated industry and think that no one's going to challenge you, check you, try to undermine you, etc., especially if you're out shooting them. That's kind of a no-no to a lot of instructors' ego, right? And so you want to make sure that you're on top of your game when it comes to insurance and never let that lapse. So you must have insurance as an instructor, not only for liability purposes, but most gun ranges are actually going to require it. So you need to actually have that insurance. Every gun range you go to, especially if you're going to be training, teaching, and actually training out on the range, most of them are going to require that when it comes to you doing a partnership with them. You want to make sure that you are insured. And this is also going to set us apart from other instructors in the industry, which is one thing that I absolutely love about being certified with NAGA. We require instructors to have their insurance in their tenure. It doesn't mean day one, but if we reach out and we have to touch and talk to an instructor or anything happens and they're not covered, that's going to be a problem, right? And so we want to make sure that you have that. And that's what I love, because I know for sure, and I don't want to name call any of the other big industries, any of the other big certifying organizations, they don't require it. So that alone is going to set you apart. And these are just some examples. I have the one in the middle. I'm not necessarily advertising these per se, but these are just some examples of insurance companies in the firearms industry that will give you firearms instructor insurance specifically. And number 6 really is important when it comes to having that self-defense protection set aside from you being an instructor, and then also having waivers. When you become a certified instructor with NAGA, you're automatically granted access to Right to Bear Incentive Program, where you can make residual income on top of every firearms class that you teach. So that's really important. Also, when it comes to waivers, you need to have a waiver. As a NAGA firearms instructor, it is great to have that self-defense protection option to offer to your students whenever you're conducting classes. So as you're building your classes, as you're teaching your classes, make sure that you mention to these individuals, because they've come to you to get this training, to be certified, and then or they come to you for a basic class to be, certified in learning and knowing how to fire their firearm and get trained, et cetera, whether if it's marksmanship or self-defense. But you don't want them to leave you now with this firearm or with this training, and now they're really great at it, but then they don't have a way to protect themselves if they have to use the gun that you've taught them how to properly use. And so this is really, really important to have that self-defense protection. And then finally, always have a liability waiver, even if you have insurance, because you have insurance. This is something that I think we're going to stand out. There are a number of instructors who don't have waivers. Okay. That's a problem, especially if you don't have insurance yet. Let's say you are thinking, okay, I'm going to invest when I get paid, et cetera, on this date, et cetera. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get insurance, but you just taught a class and you didn't even have a waiver, right? You want to make sure you have a waiver. And some of these things that we're talking about here in this webinar, we're going to actually talk about during the certification class on the very last day. But leading up to that, I would like to connect with you ladies and make sure that we are preparing you for that certification. This is one of those things that I can show you how to go about doing, is setting up that business side of things. Next, as I mentioned, Right to Bear. We have that partnership with them, a new partnership that we have with them. I've spoken to some of the reps there. Like I mentioned, as a certified NAGA instructor, you're automatically going to be given access to that incentive program. And that is a really, really great way, not only to just have, an option to give to your students, but also for yourself. And if you are a partner with them, meaning your business is in business with their business, it's completely comped for you as the instructor for your own entity, your own business. So a really great program that's going to help and leverage, everything that they have. You want to make sure that you're utilizing that in your classes. That's going to be a game changer for not only this industry, but for you as a female instructor. And I'll explain a little bit more about that as well. The next thing is rushing at the range. So it can be tempting to skimp on having a co-instructor. But remember how I said in the class that students are not getting dry fire practice enough? Well, as you can see in this image right here, whether you are on this webinar and you fully or properly know how to hold a firearm, this individual is not. And so if you don't have a co-instructor, you definitely don't want a lot of students, up to the bay being ready to shoot, and you don't have that support of a co-instructor or an RSO, because you'll miss things like this. And you don't want to be teaching that per se on the range, but you definitely don't want to rush them through on something that you did not give them enough time to practice in class on. And so the cost of this is too high, especially when you're dealing with firearms. So definitely if you're teaching large classes, co-teach, co-instruct. Number 8 is meet or exceed appearance standards. Most certifying organizations have a uniform or polo to help with the professionalism. However, appearance goes a long way, especially when you're trying to command presence with individual students. You want to make sure that you look professional. And in our certification class, we talk through some of these things, especially when becoming an instructor. However, as women, this is where we have a little more wiggle room with what we can wear, whether if we're doing makeup, variety of garments with different patches on it, different hairstyles. We can remain our feminine selves and still command presence. And that doesn't mean all women are super feminine. However, what that means is you can still be who you are and not feel like, you're necessarily going to get hit on all the time. But that's something, when I talk about having thick skin, it may happen. But I don't want you to come in this industry and lose your whole personality trying to fit in. You can still be who you are and still be professional.
I want to just say,
This one right now is really important as well, which is testimonials and reviews.
Her safety
Make
training
sure you have a
is
system to collect
impeccable.
reviews
She ensures
on the
that she
spot,
watches how you
after
handle the gun,
classes,
as well as
or just create some
making sure
type of
you're
follow-up.
safe when
Just
you're
how
in
all
your
of you ladies who
exercises.
have
And I would recommend
registered
her to
for this
anyone
webinar,
who is
just
interested
how
in
you all
purchasing a
have
gun
come on
and
here, and
just
I'm
to
sure you've seen,
get acquainted with
I
their
send an
own
email a week
handgun
out,
so
I
they can
send an
protect
email a day
themselves.
out,
And
an
that
hour
gun
out,
is going to
10,
be
10
I'm gonna
minutes
take the
out.
next
You
upcoming
want to
classes
make
that
sure
they
you're
have,
following up
because I want
with
to further
your
develop my
actual
skills and
students.
become
So
a
not
more
only
a
can
sharp
they give you a
sharpshooter.
review, but they
And I
can
think
come
a
back again
TPL
and again.
will
And
help
that's
me
something
get there.
that we talk about as well in the certification class, is preparing you so that whenever you get certified, you should have everything you need to be successful over time. This one right here, I think, is going to be a game changer for females in the female firearms instructors in this industry. Although it's not required, some instructors refuse to demo drills, right? Some instructors, you can use your imagination on who those instructors are. They feel that if they don't shoot, they will lose credibility. Now, will someone look at you sideways if you are to show them and demonstrate the course of fire and you miss a shot or two? Perhaps, right? But you pass and you're there. So no, you don't have to prove it. But the reason why I think as women, I think this will help us and give us a leg up, because most men, they like to either stump the chump or they like to, with their egos, they will battle one another. But when it comes to a female, they won't necessarily do so. But what they will do, at least what I have observed as well, is they may not have respect for you. So it's not so much about being liked in this industry. We want to be respected. And I just feel like this is one of those ways to give us that leg up, because I've been at the range and a man, his wife come in, or a man and his girlfriend come in, and she will outshoot him as a brand new shooter, first time touching a firearm, and his ego comes down just a little. And you can tell he has a little more respect, or he's just so bruised, he'll leave out, right? And so I want to make sure that we understand that this isn't required, but I do feel like this would be something to give us that leg up, just to demonstrate I am worthy of being here. No, I don't have to prove it, but a lot of times that's going to give you that respect that they'll just, come down off of their ego and be able to see you as a colleague.
I'm on my mission, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm on my mission. Don't get it twisted. I'm on my mission, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Don't get it twisted. I'm on my mission, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Don't get it twisted. I'm on my mission, oh yeah, 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 yeah.